Okay, so warm-ups, we all do them. We all do them if we play sport or do some sort of exercise. But why? Why do we do them? In this video, I'm going to explain to you, I hope, in this video, I'm going to explain to you uh, what a warm-up is and why we do them. And to answer that question, whether they're needed or not, whether they work or not, and then probably more relevant to the players, propose a structure for the 2024 season. So what is a warm-up and why would you do one? Well, no massive surprise here that it's an activity that prepares you for exercise or sport and normally comprises of activities that increase your heart rate, like going for a gentle run, mobilize your muscles and your joints, and increases your muscle temperature. I heard a good analogy the other day, one of cheese. If you imagine your muscles like cheese, if you've got cold cheese, the cheese is quite easy to break. If you warm that cheese up, it becomes more sticky, for want of a better word, stringy, and less easy to break. So I like that as an analogy. So that's what you might do a warm up for. Why would you do one? Well, probably for one or two reasons. Naturally, to reduce your chance of injury and to improve your performance. Are they necessary? They certainly are. According to research from FIFA, there are 5.8 million people per annum treated at hospitals in Europe for sports-related injuries, half of those team sports. So 5.8 million divided by 2 is 2.9 million per annum. People per annum are treated at hospitals in Europe for team sports-related injuries, and 2/3 of those are football, or 1.933 million per annum. And don't forget, this is just for Europe, and this is for people going into hospital. Okay, and that works out to be a whopping 37,200 per week. Do injuries have an impact? Again, I'm sure the answer would be a resounding yes. Clearly, if you have less depth in your squad, less options to choose from, you're probably unlikely to do as well. Research confirms the same. In elite soccer, if you've got a lower number of injuries, that's associated with a higher final lead ranking, an increased number of points per match, and an increased rate of success in the UEFA Champions League or Europa Leagues. And that research you can see on the bottom left there, 2023, so bang up to date. But do they work? Do warm-ups actually help to reduce the number of injuries? And they certainly do. I think it was about 2004, FIFA introduced the FIFA 11 Plus program, and results so far suggest a 39% reduction in injuries among recreational and sub-elite football players, i.e. ourselves, although I'm sure some of us would argue that we're elite, but particularly in areas including hamstring, hip, groin, knee, and ankle injuries. Obviously, common areas for injuries in soccer or football. But the challenge with regards to FIFA 11 Plus, and I've actually tried it myself, is to try and run the whole thing takes you about 20 to 25 minutes. And some critics have argued that it doesn't adequately prepare or develop players for high demand tasks. So an alternative that has been proposed is Football Plus, and it comprises some running, dynamic stretching, some strength work, some plyometrics, or more specifically jumping exercises, some sprint drills, and change of direction, and if time allows, some small-sided games. And then, don't forget, that's just the warm-up. Then we move into the main strength and conditioning activities, which, for example, could be repeat sprints, acceleration, whatever that might be. But does it work? Well, certainly research suggests that it outperforms the 11 Plus in terms of acute performance optimization. So in terms of getting people ready for sprinting and agility work and so on and so forth, it's a better warm-up than the FIFA 11 Plus is. And if you want to reduce your chance of injury from sprinting, then a good thing to do is to do some sprinting. So in that respect, it's very positive. So that probably ends it for the parents, and now more to the players. Here I'm going to run you through the 2024 structure in terms of the warm-up. This is broadly what it's going to look like, some running, dynamic stretching, and so on and so forth, but some of the elements may change as we go through. So we're going to do some simple, jog up to the cones and back again. Then we're going to do some backward running. This guy here has the world record for backward running, 5 minutes and 54 seconds for a mile. I don't think I could do that if I was running forwards. We're then going to do some side to sides. Not sure where you're playing again. And then we're going to finish off with some karaokes. Once we've done that little bit of basic running, We're then going to move into some dynamic stretching. So we've got opening the gate, closing the gate, and some dynamic hamstring stretches. We're also going to do some dynamic glute stretches. And this one here, a lunge, put one hand on the floor and then rotate round. And finally, in terms of our dynamic stretching, we're going to do some side to sides as well, or side stretch, like that. Side lunge, that's the word I was looking for. Okay, so that's the dynamic stretching bit done. Then we're going to move on to some strength and stability work. I could play the video on that, but it's not particularly interesting. That is somebody doing a plank. These here are Copenhagen's. So you can see the person is holding the partner's leg, and the other person is lifting and lowering both their leg and their hip to the floor. If you hold your hands closer towards the knee, it makes it easier for your partner. And then finally, Nordic hamstring exercises. So you just hold on to your partner's heel and they try and stop themselves from falling until the very end. And then obviously they try and catch themselves. So really, really good exercise to help reduce the chance of hamstring injuries. So that's the strength and stability work. Then we're going to move on to some jumping, okay, or plyometrics. This is not exactly what I would want. I'd probably want your feet to be a little bit wider than this, but we're going to start by seeing, can we actually find a simple squat position? Can you actually get into a squat? We're also going to do some, they call them tall to shorts. I prefer tall to smalls. So this is kind of some elementary jumping work. So you can see your hands go up on tippy toes, drop back down, up onto your tippy toes, drop back down. Hence why we want to practice the squat to start with. And then finally, we're going to do some, with our partner, some jumps with shoulder contact. And hopefully, if we've been practicing this and this, we'll be able to do the landing on this one well. And then we're going to move into the final section of the warm-up, which is speed. And we're going to work on acceleration and change of direction. This one here, I will play you the video. So this is some very, very elementary change of direction where you are standing on one leg with your eyes closed. You can imagine that your body is probably shifting in all sorts of different directions, therefore developing leg, knee, and hip strength for those different directions. And then in terms of elementary sprinting, basic sprint techniques, again, I can show you the video, but the person isn't doing anything. They're just holding this position. You can see they're up on that back foot. They've got a high knee and their toes are being drawn up to their shins. And there's a straight line running down here. So that's the sort of position I'm looking for. And then finally, high knees. So obviously the person's doing some high knees, leaning forward, and then eventually he goes. Okay, so that's what we're looking at too. And then the final one in the speed and acceleration and change of direction, just to ensure that you've had a go at sprinting before you start whatever you're going to do. With me, it will be further strength and conditioning activities. You're going to start on a 3-point stance. That's a 3-point stance, 2 feet, 1 hand. Okay. And then you're going to go and you'll run 10 meters and you'll do that a few times. Okay. So apart from showing you my references, that, as they say, is that. If you've got any thoughts, comments, or suggestion, please put them in the comment section below.